Welcome back in episode 12 of the Around the Diamond baseball podcast. How's everybody doing? Kyle, you enjoy your Memorial Day weekend?
I did. Thanks for asking. How about you, man?
Yeah, I had a good time. Sort of turned the phones off, just relax and chill, enjoy the extra week or extra day added to the weekend. And yeah, I will say thank you to all those who have served for our military, and families of those who've lost their loved ones. We appreciate that. But let us be able to do what we want in the greatest country in the world. But we're here to talk some baseball today, and or a little. I don't want to say light on topics because I think the last thing's going to take us a little while. But we got some things to run through first. Kyle's Yankees are sort of surging, but are they sort of not getting anywhere right now? At the same time, the record's going up, but they don't seem to be climbing the ranks of the division really. And then two kind of close to the heart stories. Mike Soroka made his long-awaited return to the big leagues, and then Liam Hendriks, after beating cancer, came back and made an appearance last night, or 2 nights ago. I forget. Either way, he made an
Yeah.
appearance after coming back from cancer. So, um, then we're gonna play a little bit of are we in or out on these teams? Because there's a lot of teams floating around. Could be good, could be bad territory, but they're supposed to be good. So we'll dive into that with like 10 teams about. But first of all, Kyle, Aaron Judge, man. For as much as we
It's
mock you and
phenomenal.
Bobby for fanboying him, he might be the greatest player in the league right now.
Oh man, I'm so glad you said it. Oh man. I've been on a few Twitter fights here recently, kind of defending my man here. No, I mean Aaron Judge is doing what everybody expects Aaron Judge to do. He's doing the type of things that, he's picking up from last season. That's exactly what he's doing. And it's pretty prominent that the Yankees missed him a lot when he was on the IL. They definitely kind of milked his return for a little bit there to, pretty much to make sure he's okay. But no, watching him in his game last night, 2 home runs, and then he robbed Teoscar Hernandez. I mean, that's just the kind of things that we come to expect of Aaron Judge. Yeah, I mean, I really don't know what else to say about him. I'm amazed and I'm grateful that I get to watch you know, this whole quote unquote Yankee captain thing, right? So I was too young to experience the full Derek Jeter, so let me have my moment here and I'm gonna soak it in for the next 8 years after this. And yeah, so Judge is doing what he's doing, man.
It's pretty awesome to be living in this time, in history where there is a Yankees captain, because that's not obviously something that happens all the time. It's only been like
Yes.
15, 16, something like that. But it's pretty cool to see, and then to see him break the AL home run record, single season record last year, and then follow that up after signing the giant extension, well, contract, whatever, and then follow that up this season. He's been off to a tear, like you said, hitting home runs left and right now after his return, and leading the Yankees pretty much to they're 10 games above 500 now.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the AL East a little bit later, but sitting in third place still. So has he still been the main catalyst for the Yankees pretty much?
He's the only one producing. I mean, obviously we got other guys coming through this lineup here, but he's the only one that's been consistent. Obviously, well, I'm not going to knock Anthony Rizzo because Rizzo has been far better than I had expected him to be this season, and I'm truly grateful for him. But he's dealing with some injury issues right now after the whole Tatis incident the other day. So he's dealing with his thing. But for the main part of this season, Judge has been carrying this team, which is what we all expect. But this Yankees team, led by Judge, obviously, they're 10 games over 500 right now. But the only problem with that is the Rays and the Orioles just keep winning, and that's kind of the whole whole story of the AL East this year. The AL East is stacked, and it's gonna be hard. And I mean, it's gonna be tough to dig yourself out of the hole that you already put yourself in, especially in the beginning of the season where the Yankees weren't winning the games that they should have been, and the Rays and Orioles just were. So I mean, it's as long as they keep winning games, it keeps them in the race. But it's going to be an extremely tight division for the rest of the season.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of us probably saw that coming, except we didn't include the Red Sox really in the chase for the most part. And we probably figured the Blue Jays would be where the Rays are, and the Yankees probably where the Orioles are. But still shaking out to be obviously the best division in baseball so far this season. But there was that semi-viral picture going around today of Giancarlo Stanton and Josh Donaldson down with the Somerset Patriots, making some rehab starts down there. What's the time frame for them coming back?
So Donaldson and Tommy Kahnle are both going to meet the team in the LA series, which is going to be the Yankees play tonight, and then they play tomorrow against Seattle, and then I believe they have an off day, and then they travel to Los Angeles to play the Dodgers, and then that is where Josh Donaldson and Tommy Kahnle will meet the team. Stanton is still kind of day to day. There's no timeline on him, but yeah. So Kahnle and Donaldson will be on their way back very shortly.
Okay, nice. So that should be a boost for them. Those guys weren't
Yeah,
exactly.
let's hope.
Stanton's a little bit better, I think. Donaldson really hasn't been a great offensive player for you guys since
No,
bring him in.
no. Yankee Land has some very choice words for Josh Donaldson. As an outsider, I totally get, you maybe, just saying, he hasn't been what you want on offense, kind of just, whatever. No, man. I mean, he's been hated throughout this organization. Obviously, Aaron Hicks had just got let go a few days ago. He
Yep.
signed with the Orioles, which I thought was hilarious. But we need a new person to be our scapegoat. And Josh Donaldson looks like the perfect candidate to me. That's kind
Yeah,
of the
with
way we're going here.
IKF, he's rising in the ranks. He had a walk off the other day, right?
He did. I love IKF's role on this team now. It's beautiful. Him coming off the bench, him playing every other day or so, every 1 out of 3 days. Whatever he's doing here, I love it. And this role needs to keep up with him for the rest of the season. I would hope at least.
Yeah. Um, you got anything else you want to add, Yankees related, or what we want to move on?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Aaron Judge just keeps proving why he's the best player in baseball. I will stand behind that constantly until, maybe the other guy who's in the American League who is the unicorn of baseball,
Yeah,
maybe
I did want to ask. Back to back MVPs
yeah.
for Judge?
Oh man. Me
I mean,
being
at
my
this point, he might be leading the American League.
if the season ended right now, I'm taking Judge. Me being a Yankee fan, obviously, I'm gonna pick Judge at the end of the season, no matter what. That's just the kind of person I am. But hey, I'm not taking anything away from Shohei Ohtani. I'm really not. I would like to see that ERA down a little bit, to kind of push him over that edge for me. But right now, Aaron Judge is the best player in baseball, and I mean, I'm hoping for the back-to-backs. It's going to be extremely tough with what Shohei does. He's an incredible player, but yeah, never know. I mean, I'll put my money on him.
Yeah, right now it probably is Judge. Shohei's offensive numbers haven't been there quite as well. Right now, teams have sort of found I don't want to say hole in his armor, but sort of because they throw up and in on him a lot, and that seems to make him a little uncomfortable. But I'm sure he'll adapt. He's just that good. But for
Exactly.
right now, his offensive numbers haven't been amazing, and Judge has been on a nice tear here for the last 15 games or something like that. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I would probably give him my AL MVP vote at this point. Not really a lot of other candidates.
not really. There's none that really stick out. I mean, I feel like for the next. I mean, I don't want to put this out here because I don't know what's going to happen. But I mean, from the way that it looks as of right now, for the next couple of years, there's only going to be two players right here, and it's Judge and Ohtani at the moment. I mean, these guys are two, you know, two the horses going at each other constantly. So I don't know.
Yeah, there just hasn't been the another guy. Jordan's been there, but I'm not sure he's quite on the same level. He has to have a really insane season to even be considered against Shohei, obviously, and Judge obviously proved how to do that last year with the breaking the home run record, which is incredibly rare, and nobody's going to do that every year. So,
Yeah.
but at this point, really, it's going to be like you just said, Judge and Shohei for the next however many years. But we'll move on. Some pretty nice stories to hear. Mike Soroka came back, made his not big league debut, but big league return to the mound versus the A's after he hasn't pitched since like 2019, I think. Everybody knows the story. Tore his Achilles and then tore it again eventually, and now he's worked his whole way back. Like I said, hasn't pitched since 2019 or 2020, and he was really, really good then, like second in Rookie of the Year in the National League, and uh, he got some Cy Young votes, I think, and made his return. Now, I don't think he did fantastic in his return, because I think the Braves won that game, but I will have to check for sure. But what's it mean to you to kind of see Mike Soroka make this battle the whole way back from injury like this to come the whole way back to the peak of the mountain?
Yeah, I mean, just hearing the story is amazing to me. Mike Soroka is obvious. I mean, the whole 2019 season, when I go back to it as a Yankee fan, the Yankees were constantly injured all season long, and I felt like there was a lot of those kind of injuries all around the league, and obviously Soroka being one of them. For me, it's just these are the type of stories that I love to talk about, to hear about, and what really makes me a baseball fan is seeing this guy go through all the trials and tribulations and then still being able to come back and pitch. And no matter how, well or bad he did, and however it is, I'm just glad that he's back doing what he loves to do. It's a beautiful story. And it's going to be the same for the next guy we talk about too.
Yeah. So Soroka went 6 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and 3 Ks. So, not the best outing, but also definitely not the worst he could have did. So
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be nice to see him, even as a Phillies fan. It's special to see somebody like this battle back in debatably the hardest sport to play of the all the professional sports. Because you have to have a unique body to be able to throw 90, 80, not 80, but like 90 miles an hour and have the filthiness that he did. And to just be considered for a Cy Young award is insane. Not that many people get that in their lifetime. So it's great to see him battle back. Great story for baseball. Not that the Braves need any more help or good pitching or anything, because it seems like they are loaded with talent. But even as a Phillies fans, I gotta applaud the Braves and Mike Soroka for this. Um, but then also Liam Hendriks, after just finding out like 5 or 6 months ago that he has a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma,
Yeah.
um, and then getting diagnosed with it, and then beating it and making his return rehab, and he made his return just the other night for the White Sox. Very emotional, and he had a nice press conference afterwards. And typical Liam Hendriks was frustrated he didn't perform too well on the mound, but obviously everybody's pumped to see him return.
Yeah, 100%. And just like Soroka, this is a beautiful story to watch unfold. And I mean, even just as a sports fan, it doesn't have to be baseball. It doesn't have to be, let's just say you never watched baseball in your life, and you see a story like this, it's got to pull on the heartstrings a little bit. And seeing Hendricks and everything that he's battled through, and had the longevity of his career that he has had, and the level that he has pitched to. He is one of the best closers in baseball when he is on, and he can very well get back to that level that he was just on. But battling through the cancer and everything else that he had gone through, I'm sure it was a very rough time for him and his family. To see him back this quick, too. That's what really amazes me, and what makes the story just a little bit sweeter too. Yeah, I mean, Liam Hendriks is he's an inspiration, and I'm glad him and Soroka are both back on the mound.
Yeah, and I think that we could both speak for baseball fans and just baseball, the sport as a whole, and saying that Major League Baseball, its fans, everyone in the community is proud of these two guys, these two men for battling the whole way back. Obviously, an Achilles is a little bit different than cancer because Achilles tear isn't necessarily life threatening, but it's still incredible to see Soroka battle the whole way back, like I said, and then Hendricks, like you said, able to recover so quickly and beat cancer, and then make the rehab starts, put in the work, stay in shape, and be back on a mound in at the major league level within, whatever it was, 5 or 6 months is absolutely insane. And obviously Liam Hendriks is a total dog. And he shows that all the time. Like you said, he's one of the best out there when he's on. So yeah, just great story overall for Major League Baseball. Real happy for those two dudes and for the teams they represent because, that's it's good to have positive news, especially for the White Sox at this time.
Yeah,
They're not doing too hot, but anyway, that you can get a good story like this out there is always great for the sport, for the teams. But yeah, let's move on now. So I don't want to say it's a little game here, but sort of. We're going to talk about these teams. Like I said, got like 8, 9, 10 of them, whatever. And I want to know, Kyle, and I'll give my answer too. Are you in or out on them? And obviously, it's early to predict whether they're making the playoffs or not, but that's what we're going to do anyway because why not? We're a third of the way through the season now. We are past Memorial Day. Teams are for real. Records matter. Stats matter. Players are starting to rise. The good teams are starting to rise, and um, so now we can make the crazy predictions of who's gonna win the World Series and all that fun stuff. But no, just what we think about these teams, and we'll start in your AL East. The Blue Jays sitting at 28-26, last, good for last in the AL East. 2 games above 500 gets you last place in the AL East right now. What are we
yeah,
feeling about the Blue Jays?
uh, definitely. Yeah, as you just said, it's honestly insane this division, but that's the AL East right now. But so this Blue Jays team, I am 100% still in on. I won't be out of this team for a very long time. It's going to take a lot for me to be out on this team. I see them a lot. I see them all the time, and this team is solid. It is good. But at the same token, it's hard for me to sit here and say that I am the 100% in due to the difficulty level of this division and being so competitive. If you make just, if you lose a 3 game set, I mean, the Blue Jays would be under 500 then. So for me, it's very hard to say which way I want to go here, but I am still gonna say I'm in on this Blue Jays team just because the talent on that squad, I just can't be out on them.
That's fair, and they are a loaded roster. Between Bo and Vladdy and Matt Chapman and Alec Manoah hasn't been doing great. Kevin Gausman and Chris Bassett, talent up and down the roster here. Kevin Kiermaier they brought in, but like to me, when I'm looking at it, you see the Rays and the Orioles sitting atop the AL East. Then you see the Yankees, and they're turning it on right now with basically one guy going for them, like we talked about.
Yeah.
And then you go out. We're gonna skip over the AL Central because they stink, and we'll talk about that in a little bit here with a couple of those teams. But then you skip out to the AL West, and you got the Rangers in first place, and then you got the Astros in second place, the Angels in third place, and the Mariners in fourth place. And those are all pretty good teams at this point too. And you're gonna get 3 division winners and then 3 wild cards too.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm counting up the wild cards here, the Orioles probably they seem like they're going to be in it at this point. And then take your pick between Rangers or Astros, whoever wins that division. So then, am I going with Yankees? Am I going with Blue Jays? Am I going with Red Sox, you could throw them in there at this point. Am I going with the Angels or the Mariners to get that last wild card spot? It's tough for me, and so I'm not out on this roster, but like in terms of them making the playoffs this year, it's a tough road for them. Like we said, the AL is stacked, and for that reason, I'm gonna have to say I'm out on them for making the playoffs this year. As of May 30th, right now, you know where they're sitting at, they got a tough road ahead.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I'm okay with either choice here, honestly, because when you exactly what you said, I mean that those three wild card spots are gonna they're gonna be taken up extremely quickly, and like you just said, the Orioles are most likely a lock at the moment. I mean, there's a chance my Yankees might not even make the playoffs this season, and they're 10 games over 500 right now. That's
Yeah.
normally you're normally comfortable there. So,
Mm-hmm.
with this Blue Jays team only 2 games over 500, it I mean, there starts to become a level of concern, especially with the AL East right now.
Yeah, definitely. Keep moving here. I hinted at the AL Central. Let's jump in there. The Tigers sitting in second place right now. Um, yeah, Kyle's look says it all right
Okay.
there.
Uh,
Um, in or out?
I'm in. It's it's so hard for me to be in on any of these teams, but I mean the AL Central sucks. I mean, we literally just said they're second place right now with a record of 25 and 27. The Blue Jays are in last place of the AL East with a record of 28 and 26. I mean, whoever wins this division, there's only going to be one playoff team from this division, obviously, but it's anybody's division, I guess. I think they're only like 2 games back of the Twins, so I don't know. I guess I'm in on them. I really don't know. What
For me,
wouldn't have thought about that before the season, but
yeah. Anyway, who would have thought we would say Tigers in second place at the end of May? Nobody. But for me, it's going to be an out because if you're looking at the teams that are there, uh, and the Tigers have been playing good baseball recently, really, and they've had a lot of pieces contributing that were supposed to be contributing for a little while now. Riley Green really stepped it up, but when you look at like the Guardians and the Twins, and I know the Twins are first place right now, but the Guardians still, we were saying they were going to be like 90-win team in the preseason, is what we were
yeah,
predicting because when you look at the pieces on their team, they're pretty loaded, but they just haven't put it together. They can't hit for squat right now. Um,
yeah,
so for me, I don't think the Tigers have enough to take the division from the Twins, let alone I think the Guardians are probably a better team overall than the Tigers. And then you get to the White Sox mess, but I think we're probably all pretty much moved off of them at this point. But yeah, I'm gonna say I'm out on the Tigers. AL West, the Mariners sitting at 28 and 26, fourth place in the AL West. I laid out my playoff scenario earlier. What are you thinking?
um, this is very hard for me to say, but I'm gonna say I'm out on the Mariners. I don't want to I don't want to say this. I really don't, especially because the Yankees are in Seattle for the next 2 games, and I don't want to I don't want to jinx anything. But this AL West is competitive, and man, are the Rangers surprising a whole lot of people. I'm happy about it. This Rangers team, they're out there spending money, and I like teams who spend money are doing good. That's what I like to see as a fan. So for me, I I'm gonna say out strictly on the division and the competitiveness of all the wild card seedings and the division winners in the American League. That is the only reason why I'm out on this team. I think they have something special in Seattle. They just need a few more pieces to get over that hump in the AL West.
That's like you took the words like right out of my mouth because that's exactly they're a great team. They
Yeah.
need another couple pieces and take another step because right now the AL West they're sitting like fourth place, like I just said, and then you look at the rest of the teams in the American League. Like I said earlier, I don't think that I'm going to take them over the Yankees or over the Orioles or over the Rangers or the Astros at this point. And then, like, you throw in the other teams that we talked about, the Blue Jays, it's a toss up almost between those two teams. I'd almost lean Blue Jays at this point personally, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say out on the Mariners making the postseason this year, but like you said, strictly because their division stacked and the whole American League is stacked this year, so it's just tough in general to make the playoffs this year in the American League. Um, Now I love to hear this one. My Philadelphia Phillies, 25 and 28, 3 games under 500, fourth place in the division. Absolutely pitiful for the reigning NL champs.
Yeah. I'm still in on them, but the clock is ticking on my in and out of this team right here. I love this Phillies team, and it's just not translating to the field, and I don't know why. It honestly is. It pisses me off when I watch this team play sometimes because I'm like, we all know that this team is better than what they're putting out on the field. I mean, they have they got arguably three superstars in that lineup every single day. And not to mention, Bryce Harper just came back, the quickest from Tommy John. I mean, the pitching staff worries me. It does a lot. But this lineup is deadly. Like they should be scoring high runs every single time. They're very inconsistent, and that's what worries me about the Phillies. One game they're scoring 10 runs, and the next they're scoring none. That's what worries me. Right now, I'm still in on them, but that clock is ticking quite quite quickly.
That's yeah. The pitching staff has been a disaster for the most part. Zach Wheeler finally made a nice start the other day. Very nice start, I should say. Aaron Nola has been disappointing this season. Ranger Suarez, I'll give him a little time yet because he's only made
Yeah.
like one or two starts before I start criticizing him. Trey Turner, you had a big home run last week, but other than that, my guy, you have not lived up to the contract that we are giving you. Um, I don't know. I don't know what to say, but I like to have a little faith in my own team yet.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I got to give me the in. I think they're better than the Marlins. The Mets have not been playing good baseball, a good brand of baseball at all, and I would borderline take them over the Mets. It's close. That's really where it comes down to if the Phillies make the playoffs, if they're going to be better than the Mets. Because well, we'll talk Padres a little bit later, but then you're sitting in the West. You got three teams in the West that are looking to make the playoffs. You got the Dodgers, the D-backs, and the Padres. The Giants aren't a bad squad either. NL Central's a mess. We don't think more than one team's coming out of the playoffs, coming out of there to go to the playoffs. So it's a little bit friendlier for the Phillies sitting 3 games under 500, but give me the in. Um, Gotta buy in because, like you said, they have the weapons, they have the pieces. They just haven't put it together yet.
100%.
Um, Moving to the team that is in second place in their division, miraculously somehow, the Miami Marlins.
Yeah.
I, I don't understand. 25 and or 28 and 26, like I just said, second in the NL East. Kyle, are you in on the Miami Marlins?
I'm not. I this team is not ready by any means. They're not. They're just not ready. I'm taking right now. I'm taking the Braves, the Phillies, and the Mets, borderline the Mets, over the Marlins at the moment. Um, I'm happy for them. I'm glad to see them doing well. As an outsider from the NL East, I'm happy to see a Marlins team doing well, but I don't think they keep it up. Their pitching staff has not lived up to the hype. Sandy's not really all there yet, and I hope he comes around. But Luis Ariz has been amazing. But the rest of this team, I just don't see how they keep it up at all. So for that reason, I'm out.
Yeah. Like you said, Luis Ariz been great. Jorge Soler has been pretty
Oh
good
yeah, he's
as
been great.
well. He's been smoking home runs. That's a player I like to watch when he's doing good because he's gonna smoke a ball every other game, every couple games when he's absolutely rolling. But like you said, the Marlins not quite there yet.
Yeah,
Jazz is injured. That's a part of it. He hasn't been fantastic this year, but him being out is part of the reason Sandy, if Sandy was a Cy Young Sandy from last year, dominant Sandy, could be a different story. And maybe they'd have a couple more wins at this point. But he's kind of been getting hit around a lot. And I'm going to have to say out. I think the Phillies and Mets are better, like you said, and Braves, obviously. And then when you look at the other teams in the NL West, I would still give them all a better shot than the Marlins at making the playoffs. So, yeah, I'm going to have to say out on them as well. All right. NL Central, St. Louis Cardinals,
Hmm. This is a tough.
24-32, last place in the NL Central. I'm not sure what I'm even going to say yet. So, what do you think, Kyle?
I'm in on them just because it's the NL Central. If this was honestly any other division, I don't know if I'd say in because just how competitive this league is right now. The Cardinals, they're too talented to keep this up, right? Like that's got to be the motto here. I don't understand what's going on here. Um, I I am very hesitant on saying out here, but I'm gonna still have to say in just because I picked them to win the division, and I'm sticking by it. So yeah.
Okay. I I totally understand what you're saying because
Okay.
NL Central sucks this year, and they're only 5.5 games back of the Brewers for first place. But I mean,
I
they have
totally
been
understand.
they've been awful this year, and they like just split a series with the Reds last week, I think. So like, I don't get it. You got the pieces. You got Hall of Famers, sure thing Hall of Famers at both corners of the infield.
Yeah.
Teams would die to have that on their roster. The Phillies would love to have that on their roster right now. The Yankees would love to have that on their roster right now.
Yeah.
But what are you doing here? You're sitting at last place in the NL Central. I don't know. I don't get it. But give me out on the Cardinals. It sucks, and I hope they don't come back to bite me. Well, actually, I hope they're good because you want the superstars to perform well and in the brightest lights. But I'm gonna have to say I'm out on the Cardinals for now. All right, moving on to another team in the NL Central here, Pittsburgh Pirates. They got off to that incredibly hot start. They were the second best team in baseball at one point. Now they're sitting at 26 and 27, second in the NL Central behind the Brewers. What are we feeling on the Pirates here?
Man. This is another one of those like feel good stories. I love what they did and I love the core that they have. They got to keep building on it though. I'm out on this team. I don't see how they can keep this pace up. I mean, we've already started to see the decline a little bit. Um, so for me, for that reason, I just don't think they're ready. So I'm out.
Yeah, for me, it's a pretty simple out. They're young. They'll be exciting in the coming years. They'll be great in the coming years, hopefully. But at this point, too many other good teams in the National League. We think only one team's making it from the NL Central. So it's going to be an out for me as well. And then one final team here we got, and we talk about them every week. And you probably either love us or hate us for that reason. But the San Diego Padres, we had said that they got to win like 6 of their 9 next games, and I have to see if they fulfilled that deal or not. But sitting at 24 and 29, fourth place in the NL West. Nobody saw this coming. Kyle, once
Yeah.
again, how are we feeling about the Padres?
Well, I do know that they just lost the series against the Yankees. It was a very good series. They held their own, but um, man, this one's probably the toughest on the list for me. Um, I'm gonna say that I'm still in, but this is more of one of those like Philly situations too. It's like they don't have enough time. I mean, they don't have a long time until I start kind of going towards that out kind of range because the NL West is very competitive. The NL East is gonna, I mean, I hope is gonna start becoming more competitive. Um, It's more talent, man. I mean, this team on paper is arguably the best in baseball, and that's what kind of it's just not translating, and it's kind of a Philly situation too. Philly has a really good team, and so does the Padres, but they're just not translating to the field at the moment. And I just it's so hard for me to be out on this team just because of the talent. So I'm still in, but like I said, it's that clock is ticking a lot very quickly.
So I did a little check, and we had said between the Boston series, the National series, and the Yankee series, they should win 6 of those 9 games. Would you like to guess how many of those they won?
Okay, so I know they lost two against the Yankees. They won there. I'm gonna hmm, three,
4. They took
four.
2 from the Nationals, 1 from the Red Sox, and 1 from the Yankees.
Mm,
I would love to say out for the hot takey part, but it's they're so, like you said, their roster is absolutely loaded. They're just too good to be out on, and oh, it's tough though because the Diamondbacks are playing really good this year. Dodgers, we don't think the Padres are catching the Dodgers anymore this season, probably. So
mhm.
if the Padres are going to be hunting for that wild card spot, well, they're going to be trying to beat one of the teams in their own division in the Diamondbacks, and then worrying about the Phillies and Mets in the East as well, probably. And I mean, right now you can say the Marlins because they're there, and right now the Padres are a step down on all those teams because they have the worst record out of all of them. So it's going to be a tough road, and I'm inching closer to out every day. But I guess for right now, still going to have to be in on them just because of the names on that roster, how much money they've invested into that team. I guess one last time. Hopefully, we don't talk about them for a little while because they're going to turn it around. I guess I'll stay in on the Padres for now.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you here, so we'll see.
It's gonna be interesting. I know we've said that lots of times, but if they can't turn it around, you know, you just coming back with the same team. You're bringing back Soto for 500 million. I mean, that's what
Oh,
everybody was saying. He was going to be the 400 million, 500 million guy. Are you gonna? I don't think they have enough money to make a run at Shohei, but I guess a AJ Preller may just print money. We are not sure. Is he the owner or is he the GM?
I'm
Preller.
not sure.
Okay. I don't know. I want to say he's the owner, but I'm not sure. Maybe not. So whoever their owner is seems like he's just printing money at this point, able to sign all these guys. But we'll have to see what happens. I think that's gonna do it for this episode, honestly, guys. You got anything you want to add, Kyle?
I mean, just one more thing on that Padres team. That I mean, they did offer Judge. I believe it was 410.
Hmm.
So we really don't know what's going on behind the scenes over there in San Diego. Maybe there is a printing machine in that warehouse that they got there. I don't know. But hey, we'll see. Like I said.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to follow the Padres throughout the rest of the season, and we'll be here to talk about them at this point every week so far. But hopefully we can get off that skid coming here soon. So thank you guys for watching, listening, tuning in, and for following all our platforms. We just hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, so appreciate everybody for subscribing. And if you haven't yet, maybe you want to consider subscribing. We put long form videos out there about once a week. So you want to check those out. Lots of fun videos that, Kyle and I just did one last week. And, we got to see what we're going to be able to put together for this week. But yeah, make sure you guys check that out. And if you're going to get some tickets to games sometime soon, code ATD is going to save you $20 from SeatGeek. So yeah, and that'll do it for this episode. See ya.
Later.